Yes, we're talking here again. Nate from Out on the Ball, and we're back. Discipline for kids. Some people call it discipline. If it's physical, I call it violence. Let me say straight off the bat, I don't blame you. It's a hard path to walk, trying to extricate yourselves from the claws of violence if it's been waged against you by your own father when you were a child. So maybe you're on the fence when it comes to smacking your kids. Maybe you've tried it out a couple of times and are thinking, this doesn't feel right. Maybe your parents or parents-in-law are trying to convince you that this is the right way to parent. That's what happened to me. My father-in-law tried to tell me that I should be smacking my kids. Otherwise, they weren't going to turn out right. Why is it a terrible idea for creating a relationship with your child? And it's something that not many people talk about. One side of the argument just assume that it's a terrible idea without giving too many reasons. I've smacked my kids in the past. Never felt right. It always exacerbated the situation. Always made it worse. It never ever made it better. On top of making the situation worse, there was this look that I would get from my children that cut me to the core. This breaking of trust. Big, strong dad now using his immense strength against them. Basically owning their bodies against their will and causing them pain. There are much better ways to help our kids go down the path that we want them to go down. There's two problems. Number one is that they're triggering us. So there's something coming up from behind us in the past that's sneaking up on us, catching us unawares, and we're just reacting to it. We're just emotionally caught up in the moment. And that brings us to a state where we're willing to wage violence on our child. The second part is that creativity has just disappeared. If you've had to resort to violence because your child is not doing what you're asking, you've lost the imagination game. You haven't been creative enough to find a solution. There's always another solution. Violence never solves the problem. Violence is a knee-jerk reaction to our own past, our own triggers. And as I've said before, children find the chinks in our armor. They know our weaknesses. If we can go into battle knowing ahead of time that that's part of the game, then we can be ready with creative responses. Well, I'm an old guy and I got hit. I turned out all right. Did you turn out all right? Do you have a healthy respect for authority? Are you able to both respect it and question it? Do you have a good connection to your parents? It's a bit hard to say that you turned out all right if you don't talk to your folks anymore. It's very stilted and awkward. Something happens when a parent hits a child. Trust is broken. You've got this beautiful, though tenuous, connection with your child. It wants to love you. It's connected to you. It just can't help but love the thing that cares for them, no matter how well or how badly. If you strike that child, trust is broken. And I can speak from my own experience. I just didn't trust my own parents. I lost respect for them. I lost trust. You know what? Love my old guy accent. You know what? Respect for your elders. Well, it's not respect. It's fear. It's impossible to have a good relationship with someone if you're fearful. And we want to build really good relationships with our children. Why do we want really good relationships? Our relationship with our child is the fundamental relationship of that child's life. It's the relationship that they're going to gauge all other relationships against. And if there's an untrustworthy relationship between a parent and child, that child will have trouble trusting everyone else in their life. It will be extremely difficult for that child to make a trusting, beautiful, intimate relationship with anyone. Colleague, partner, friend. If your parents are acting inconsistently, if they're acting violently, it's going to be very hard to form intimate relationships. I've smacked my kids in the past and I'm not proud of it. Every time it happened, it came out of a lack of sleep, a lack of emotional control. Brain structures that switch on and enable us to inhibit certain behaviors were exhausted. I hadn't exercised my creativity or my imagination back in those days. There might be those men out there who say, well, it's for their own good. They've got to be resilient, put up with discomfort, be able to handle people telling them how it is. That's absolutely true, but that's not the way to do it. The research is very, very clear on this subject. Children who receive violence at home are less resilient, are more likely to be a bully or to be bullied, worse academic results, and suffer from anxiety as a child and through into adulthood. If you're scared and fearful, that's going to be overriding all the other circuits in the brain. We want our children to be beautiful, vibrant adults, having amazing, intimate relationships with both us and the people around them. Isn't that the goal? It's not about trying to control these little people. We need to guide them. Nate from Al on the Ball. See you next time.